Hi, everybody. It's Betsy Davis, Chief Marketing Officer of Sandy Alexander, here for another episode of Colorbar with Kim Updike, my buddy, my pal.
Yep. Partner in crime.
Partner in crime.
Partner in crime. Co-host and partner in crime. I like it.
I'm just going to give everybody a heads up. Kim is feisty today. Kim is on one today, so who knows?
Who knows?
Our little witty Kim, there's no telling what's going to come out of your mouth today. So I'm excited for this.
We'll see. We'll see how unpredictable and feisty I can be today.
And it's idyllic because
Yes.
of our guest who's with us today. One of my recent friends that I met in Long Beach at D-Scoop. We had John Bailey and Kelvin
Yes.
Gage on.
Yep.
Early days of Colorbar. Helen Smith, who is head of marketing for Precision Proco, works for John Bailey. We had an opportunity to meet for the first time at D-Scoop, 6 weeks ago, and just like this immediately. And marketer to marketer, we just had lots of really great conversations. She reached out to me after seeing our Colorbar on content and AI and just seeing Colorbar, period. It was like, I want to learn more about this.
Does she think AI is cheating too?
We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna ask her. But anyway, so we're on the phone chatting, and I'm like, well, then you just need to come on the Colorbar and just have a chat with us. So Helen Smith is having a chat with us. Hello.
Hi there, Betsy. Hi, Kim. How are you both today?
Really good.
We're really good.
No, we're good. I can't believe the summer's half over though.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how it's like it's just flying by. So
I was just making fun of myself that my freckles are on point because I've been in the sun so much. So I look probably a little crazy, but.
I'm definitely the English Rose here. Yeah, I'm pale and interesting, ladies. Pale and interesting.
But you have the interesting hair. You've got the pink hair moment going.
I like that.
Loving it.
On brand, on brand. If you see my logo, you'll know, always on brand. I even have got shoes on that are pink today.
Then let's see those bad boys. Come on.
I'll take one off.
Perfect.
There you go. Pink on
like
pink on pink.
Pink. I like it, and we like a good shoe moment on this show.
We do love a good shoe moment on Colorbar, so that's perfect.
Fits right in.
Well, I am super excited to have you here. We've chatted a little bit before we went live, and so I just mentioned that Helen reached out about, I want to learn more about how you guys are doing this podcast thing and Colorbar, and what does that look like and feel like. That was 2-3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
And you've already taken the bull by the horns, as we say here.
Absolutely. So yeah, we met at Long Beach, as you said, Betsy, and sometimes working in the job I work in a really small team. There's just me and Steph. Yeah. Sometimes it can be, woe is me, it can be quite a lonely place to be. Yeah. So we met at Long Beach. We had loads in common, marketer, loads to talk about. And when I came back, I did a little bit of stalking, as you would expect, and I saw Colorbar. I was blown away by what you guys are doing. I think it's great. I love how chilled out you guys are, how authentic it is, and I thought I want a piece of that. We've been doing our own little blog over the last few months, but I'm not quite there. So I wanted to learn from what you guys were doing. We had that conversation, and I think one of the things that I struggle with, and I don't know about you guys, is sometimes I think about things too much. So I got off that call from you, took the bull by the horns, as one would say, and phoned a local studio, went to see them. It looked really like what you guys are doing. So I said, I'm going to have a piece of that. We've booked them, in about, I think I've got 3 weeks now to plan everything. But again, if I think about it too much, I'll never do it. So I'm cracking on, I'm getting on with it, and I'm going to give it a go. And this is my test to see if I can do it.
You're doing great.
She's like, I'm going to be so nervous. I'm like, you just have a conversation. We're having a conversation.
We're just chatting. In fact, I come from a long line of overthinkers. So I'm right there. I'm right there with you. And when we started this journey, our big joke was, if we knew what we were doing, we probably wouldn't have done it, because we would have gotten it our own way. So we were like, yeah, just head down, straight forward. We'll we're gonna wing it and fake it till we make it, people.
Yeah.
So hey,
And we're still figuring it out, but it's
Yeah.
been a really fun journey, and I can't wait to see.
can't wait to see what you guys do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the bit that I think for me, speaking to our customers, speaking to suppliers, speaking to people like yourselves, the bit that really resonates and the thing that I'm really hoping to replicate is this piece of us just being us. You know, that's part of what I'm like, you know, that's my brand. Yeah. Precision Proco. We say it as it is. Yeah. There's no, you know, no long words. We don't make it complicated. We keep it simple. And that's how I want it to be. And I think it's really important these days that we are that authentic. And we, like you say, Kim, we don't overthink. It's hard not to overthink, but we just say honestly how we feel. And I think that's really important for marketers these days.
Yeah, I mean, I said it to you whenever we were talking, is that one of the reasons we wanted to do this was so that people knew the personalities behind Sandy Alexander, and it wasn't just a name, and it's not just a company, but that there's real people with real personalities
do real things.
that do real things, and we're all doing a lot of the same things, trying to figure it all out. So I would be not doing you any favors if I didn't give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about, just give everybody a little hint of Precision Proco and who you guys are and what you're doing for your clients. And obviously you're in the UK.
Yes.
Yep, we're in the UK. So I'm based in Sheffield, as you can see from one of my little boxes here. I'm based in Sheffield. We've got 4 locations in the UK, 2 down south, 2 up north, as one would say here. We're a print service provider. We do commercial print, but we also do print on demand. I think what makes us different, and I would say this, but a lot of what makes us different is our brand and our personality as an organization. I always say, as a marketer for Precision Proco, I don't know much about what happens in that grey box downstairs, that paper goes in and beautiful things come out the other side. Yeah. But what I do know about is how people connect with brands, how people connect with organizations and connect with people. And that's probably one of the most important things for me as a marketer for Precision Proco, is connecting our customers and our potential customers to us as an organization. And we go back to the people thing and the authenticity. So what are we doing for our customers? I guess, like I say, the depth and breadth of what we do from a print perspective is phenomenal. You know, right from doing printed photo books all the way through to doing basic postcards for direct mail. But I think what we do is we help our customers navigate that complex journey at the moment of working out what the right marketing channels are for them in different areas of their business. And a big thing for us, obviously, at the moment, and I'm sure like yourselves, is integrating print into that digital marketing world that we live in now. So that's a big part of my messaging at the moment, how print is still relevant and how we can combine print and digital to superpower each other, so to speak. That was a long way of saying that, wasn't it?
It was perfect.
It was spot on, and it's the conversations that we've all been, you know, having.
So we're all using the word phygital
Phygital.
is the term. So combining physical with the digital. We actually are hosting Glimpse later this week, and that is part of the conversation of how people in the retail spaces are incorporating, even in store,
Yes.
the physical printed piece, but also how do you combine digital with that and
create an experience.
with it.
Yeah, so that has definitely been a hot topic. Yes, where you're gonna joke as when I've said that phygital is not a rash. It's actually, it's actually kind of like a marketing movement as far as how we are combining channels and, you know, and figuring out the right way to deliver, you know, brand messaging to the right audience, and how personalization plays in that, and how data plays into that. So it's definitely been a big conversation that, you know, we've had with multiple people on, even here on Colorbar.
Yeah, and we're known to make up words, so I just figured Ken just kind of made something up, but now I'm hearing everybody use it. So
And she's like, and I knew Kim wasn't that smart, so she, not ahead of my time, but.
well, Nova, so let's talk really quick though, because one of the things that also that you were like, I love the conversation that you guys had around content and AI. And Kim asked before we got on, she's like, so does Helen feel like it's cheating if she uses AI? I'm like, let's ask her. So How do you feel about the whole Chat GPT, and we call him our boyfriend Chat, or our Big G? There's all kinds of names that we have for him now, but
Yes.
I'm cheating. I'm cheating with ChatGPT, definitely, and I'm cheating with Google Gemini as well. So I can't stop cheating. But I'm not, I'm not all in there. I am definitely doing what I think we should be doing, which is using AI to kind of get the conversation going or get the thought process going. I know we had a conversation inside our business only the week before last where we were talking about how easy it is to have an over reliance on AI now. So it's really easy. And I don't want to say lazy, it's easy to use AI to do something for you and almost hide that in the argument of I'm being more efficient. Yeah. And I think it's really, really important that we find that balance of starting the conversation and getting you thinking, but not completing the job with AI. So I want to cheat, but I'm not cheating 100%, if that helps.
One of our guests, Carolyn Walker, and she was, talking about AI
years ago.
2-3 years ago, and it was really interesting because I've also heard, a lot of people have the conversation of, well, AI is you're either gonna work for it or it's gonna work for you. And I thought her approach on integrating it into like their business operations was very interesting, about teaching it how they do estimates and timing and project quoting. And there are certain functions that it can help with that then leads you open to think and ideate, and can it help in some of those other things? And then is that where the efficiency comes in versus do I feel like I'm cheating?
Yeah. I know for me, it just gives me a starting point. Like if like it just helps me get my brain going in the right, and then I can Betsyfy it, again, making up words. But
No, that one's sweeping the nation.
yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna Betsyfy.
We're gonna Betsyfy.
Yeah, it's gonna be everywhere. Can't wait.
It's like, for me, it's like a strong cup of black coffee on a Monday morning. It kickstarts me. It gets me going. Yeah. It gets me thinking. And I think that's the way that we all need to use it. But then on another, on another side of the argument, I often get overwhelmed by it because there is so much I can use. There are so many different tools out there. And just when I feel like I've got to grips with what I should be using or thinking about using, I read something on LinkedIn where it says, as a marketer, you should be looking at this. And I go, oh no, that's another thing for me to think about, or another tool that I should be exploring. And I sometimes feel if I'm not careful, I'll spend all my time exploring different tools and not actually getting the best out of it and getting the job done. So there's, we're still in a really interesting place, aren't we? Where it's moving so fast. It's hard to keep up with it, but at the same time, I desperately want to use it for the better of the business and to help me do my job better.
Well, and you and I even talked about when they were talking about the chat bots and things when we were at D-Scoop, and Helen and I looked at each other and it was like, I want to go explore this, but does it feel like we're ready for it? Does it feel, how are our clients respond to that? Does it feel like it's on brand for us?
Does it feel like us?
Does it feel like us?
Yeah.
Yeah. But to your point, now there's all these tools out there, and I'm like, am I going to be behind where we should be if I don't start to try to go down the path of some of this?
I think the worst thing would be for me is if my customer worked out I was using it. So we talk about the chatbot. I would hate for a customer to say, well, they're using AI. And so they're not thinking about me as an individual. Someone else is doing it. I would hate for us to lose that human connection in our pursuit for being more efficient. And I think that's a really interesting debate. We can be fantastically efficient and we can do a great job, but if we lose that connection, that human element, then, I'm not comfortable with that. Part of me as an individual and part of us as a business and a brand is built on human connection. And I would hate to lose that.
Well, and that's even part of Glimpse coming up, is that whole immersive, experiential, especially some of the younger generations, all want this in-person, this connectivity. They've grown up in a completely digital space and with technology. And so when we've talked about the mall experience on one of our previous, podcasts, and then having the conversation with Glimpse as far as creating these in-person experiences and what does that look like and people wanting to connect. So I think where technology fits into all of that is an interesting conversation, but really looking at the bigger picture of, brands wanting to connect and how they best connect in this kind of environment that we're in, where you've got all this technology. But at the end of the day, I really just want to sit down and, talk to Betsy, talk to Helen, like have a conversation. I mean, and it's cool that we have technology that allows us to talk to Helen while she's on the other side of the pond.
Yes.
But it is that.
Yeah.
I agree, like even with our clients, I mean, you want to be efficient and you want to help and leverage data, but at the end of the day, we're trying to help them connect to the people that they want to talk to.
It's been so nice. Like I've talked about how I've been traveling more than I ever have in like the last 10 years, but it's because people are actually wanting to sit down and break bread together again. I was just in Washington, D.C. last week, sitting around the table with one of our clients and their key suppliers and partners. And we all just sat down and got to have dinner together. And we all talked about was the trip worth it and what was the benefit and and we all said that we loved being able to have that personal face-to-face time that we rarely get anymore.
And the same would go for when you and I met in Long Beach. Yeah. And that is the first time I'd been to one of the D-Scoop conferences. And if someone said to me, what was the, what were the 2 or 3 key things that you got out of it? I would say the content of the event was fabulous, but the connections and the people that I met, I could never replace some of those conversations online or via email, and you genuinely can't. I'm a firm believer in body language, and you can probably tell that because I use my hands quite a lot. I'm a firm believer in body language. I'm a firm believer in, nothing, seeing the whites of people's eyes, nothing can compare to that. And I just don't feel like on screen you can create the same level of empathy and understanding. Yet, having said that, I hope AI frees me up and my time up to enable me to do more of that face-to-face contact, to go to more conferences, to meet more new people. And that's where I'm hoping I can find that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to shift gears because I want to make sure we have a chance to talk about this. So we were talking about freeing up your time. So when we spoke before coming on today, you had just gotten off holiday.
Yep.
But you did a legit holiday, and it felt like it was a little bit of a game changer. I want to talk about this because I want it to lead into a conversation that we're having coming up on Colorbar around wellness and burnout and also young talent and using opportunities like that to tee up. So talk to us a little bit about you making the decision to turn it off and what that meant for you coming back to the office.
So yeah, I think, as we all have, I lead a very, very busy life, both inside of work and outside of work. And I'm going to drop this in. I ran a marathon this year. Any marathoner will tell you that they have to mention it in every conversation. But
That's a shout out.
I ran a marathon back in April. I have a busy life when it comes to work. And this year, we've been talking a lot in Precision Proco about mental health and the importance of finding that work-life balance. But I guess for me, work-life balance is just that. Yeah. Work is part of my life and an extremely important part of my life. Therefore, I have rarely, if ever, prior to this year, totally switched off, even when on holiday. I felt this need to remain completely connected. So this year, I made a little pact with myself and my husband, actually, that I was going to have a complete shutdown and I wasn't going to have my work mobile on. I wasn't going to have access to email or telephone. And it was 10 days. I took 10 days out to take a holiday and to leave the world of work and Precision Proco in the very capable hands of Steph, who works with me. And I think for the first time ever, I truly switched off and I came back to the business with a kind of different view of how my energy levels or a view of how I can contribute to the business because I'd taken that time away. And I think it was unbelievably beneficial for me to have that time out, to not be on the hamster wheel of constantly be thinking about work or constantly be trying to achieve something. Yeah. So for 20, well, a bit longer than that, actually, 20 years, I've been constantly trying to achieve something or get something done or tick something off the list. And it was, it was eye-opening for me that you don't have to tick something off the list every single day. You don't have to achieve something every single day. And I came back with a completely renewed sense of energy and enthusiasm for what I got to achieve for the second half of the year. So I think for me now, I'm not having New Year's resolutions anymore. Someone put this on a comment I made on LinkedIn. Why have New Year's resolutions when you can have mid-year resets? And I think that's something that I want to do again.
I
I
love
like
that.
that is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And I was saying to Helen that I had just gotten back from the Women Leading Travel and Hospitality, and
Yes.
I wrote her name down, Stephanie Glanzer, who's the Chief Sales Officer at MGM. And they have put into place director level and up after 5 years, I think it's a 30-day sabbatical, or it might have even been longer than that. And she did a whole keynote for us at that event about how impactful that was for her family, for the business, and that renewed sense of focus and energy and like this let's go kind of energy whenever you come back from it. And even when I take those moments to just go for a quiet walk, which I do a lot at the end of the day, no headphone, no podcast, no music, no, just me and the lake and a walk for an hour. And the things that stir up in my little crazy brain, that like I get home and I immediately am taking notes because I had this moment of quiet and this moment of clarity. When you give yourself 10 days, 30 days of what that can do for yourself and even for your business is crazy.
And I think for me, it was that realization of I don't have to be the one who's doing it. Thinking it is often enough. Yeah. So having those thoughts, having those strategic ideas of what we need to do next and where we need to go rather than what needs to be ticked off the list today was it's been a game changer for me. And what I've done since is I've set aside pretty much every Friday after we have a management meeting on a Friday morning. But after that, I'm setting aside Friday, and Friday is my time not to tick things off the list. So to not get obsessed with finishing the job on a Friday, but to use Friday as a way to really think about what next week's going to look like. What does the future look like? What are we going to do differently, Steph? How are we going to approach things differently? And that's been great for Steph as well as for me, because it gives her someone who's forward thinking and not too much in the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and speaking to Steph, we've talked a lot internally about the continuance of us and hiring young talent, and they
Yes.
all want these opportunities. And sometimes it's difficult to find those moments to really let them shine. And I think you saying you've got this for the next 10 days is really an opportunity, one, to prove to ourselves that we don't have to do everything, that people are very capable, but also to give people
want the
around us an
opportunity.
opportunity to really step up and shine. And
And they want to do that. I
Yes.
mean, everybody wants to have that opportunity and to your point, to shine. So it's like 10 days, it's like, here you go. Here's your ball, your bat, run with it.
Yep.
See what you can do.
Yeah.
No decision is a wrong decision, just not making one. As long as you have some sort of thought process and where we're trying to go, go make that happen. And I think it's great and I think young talent, they want that opportunity.
There is nothing more motivational than trust. Yeah. Trusting somebody to do something themselves, for me, is one of the best ways I can motivate Steph. Or we also have an intern called Leah who works with us in the team. So for me, that is, that's my best way to motivate them, is to give that, is to empower them and give them the responsibility to try things themselves. Understanding that I'll support them 120%, whatever decision they make, if, as you say, Kim, they've had a thought process and they've made those thoughts with the best intentions. And that's really paying off for me, really paying off. Steph's fabulous.
I love that.
No, I do too. That's great. And like I said, you want to be able to do that because, like you said, not trying to replace myself. Well, maybe I am trying to replace myself. Let me rethink this. So far, I'm throwing out the list and I'm taking 30 days off, Betsy. But I trust you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
No, but I think that's a big thing with young talent. I mean, just all the young people that we've brought on board, and with the internship and leadership development and all of the types of things that you guys have all put in place, and just the excitement and the energy. It's
really,
infectious.
it is infectious.
It is infectious, and
Yeah.
I think it's great for any organization. I think it makes, us, less stale. I don't know if we're cool yet.
Look, we
but
say this all the time. We cannot be irrelevant.
Right.
And
You
I
have to-
think that young talent, we were talking about reverse mentoring on one of our recent color bars. And I think that's a really important part for us to continue to stay relevant and to push ourselves and do things differently. And
We brought in an intern into the business it would have been last June, a young lady called Leah, who was at our local university. She did her year out. And so she came to work with us for 10 months. And part of that thought process was, I have to admit, I know very little about social media and what is cool. Yeah. I'm the least cool person ever.
that's why we have Allie on our team. Yeah, same.
Leah has taught me so much. I didn't know anything about TikTok. I still don't, but Leah does. But I knew nothing about that. And the perspective she's brought to things, the fun that she's brought to our content has been fabulous. The ideas she's thrown in, she's brave. She is far braver than I will ever be in terms of content on social media. And that's been brilliant. And she's reached the end of her 10 months. Again, we gave her lots of responsibility for our social media channels. She has taught me a huge amount, so much so I want her to continue to teach me things. So she's going to do her final year of university next year, but she's going to come and work for us 2 days a week at the same time. And that's, it was a no-brainer for me to ask her to stay on. Because I'm learning, Steph's learning, she's learning. And it's this beautiful little threesome of where we're all learning things from each other. And long may that continue. I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to get more interns in the business. I'd like to find new ways of attracting, younger talent into our organization. And it's something that John, who's our CEO here, it's something that me and him talk a lot with our HR team about, our recruitment strategy and how we come across as an organization to the younger generation, so to speak. So something that's really high on the agenda for us.
Yeah, it's been interesting. One of the impacts of Colorbar has been recruiting, and the younger talent is. I watched Colorbar, and they're just seeing us do things differently, and I think that's oddly has become a benefit of having these conversations.
And we weren't even thinking that wasn't even on our radar.
Not at all.
Of a benefit. So that was just something that has organically come out of us trying something different. Trying to be cool. Trying to pull it off. But no, it wasn't expected, but it's been a great benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk marketing really quick, shall we? Since that's what our day jobs are.
That's right.
Most of our days are spent doing. But you were talking about being brave and doing new things with content and whatnot. What are some of the things that you guys are doing? Now you're getting ready to start your podcast, which I can't wait for. But what are some of the other exciting things that you guys have done? I've loved hearing about some of your campaigns when I saw you at D-Scoop.
Okay, so historically as an organization, if I look back a couple of years, we were very sales led when it came to lead gen. Yeah. And I went on a little bit of a mission probably 2 years ago to convince the team that we needed to do more digital marketing. We needed marketing to be driving some of that lead gen, not relying solely on the sales team. And so I've basically gone through, we spoke about this in Long Beach, Betsy. I've gone through a bit of a transformation with the organization in terms of, I suppose, flipping things on its head for us, becoming more marketing led when it comes to lead gen. And a huge amount of that has been from introducing a more strategic digital marketing plan. So we looked at SEO, organic SEO. We've started doing more on social. But one of the things that I was really keen to focus on was brand build. So it wasn't necessarily talking about product or proposition. It was actually increasing our engagement from a brand perspective and what we stand for as an organization. And I guess how we do that is some of the stuff I talked about earlier with Leah, the fun stuff. So one of my favorite campaigns that we've done this year is on April Fool's Day, which I think you have in the States as well. You have April Fool's Day as well.
We launched Colorbar on April Fool's Day because we were like, if this goes sideways, we can just be like, April Fools, we're not really doing this. Yeah.
Maybe I should do the same with I'm going to print live next year. So one of the things we did on April Fool's Day today, and you might just be able to see it behind me, we pretended we'd launched a beer. So I have some friends who actually work at a local brewery. So we went all in and me, Leah and Steph went to the brewery and we did a full-on video of how we made Precision Proco beer. And this went on all day and we sent bottles to our customers and we asked them to comment on social media. And then at the end of the day, we poured out the bottles and it was CMYK. But it's fun little campaigns that we do like that. There's a few things behind me here that we've done over the years. One year we sent to our clients, because it's such a happy place to work, we sucked out some of the air in the factory and we sent everybody some happy air so they could share our happy air. And that's probably one of my favorite ever campaigns. Yeah. So for us, it's not necessarily always about selling product. It's about selling a feeling. So, you know, Mr. Prospective Customer, if you want to feel like this, if you want to be a part of this community, this feeling, this gang, then, you know, come and join Precision Proco, so to speak. So that's kind of how we've been messaging things. And back in the day, it was all this printed bits and pieces, but now it's very much that feeling on social media as well. And getting across, you mentioned earlier, getting across that feeling of people, who we are as an organization, who we are as people. And that's really important to us.
Yeah. It's interesting because we kind of had the same crusade of trying to do more digital and drive lead gen through marketing, and it's finally working. But what I've also realized is that we as printers weren't printing anymore. So we've been trying to, as I say, drink our own Kool-Aid.
Yes.
And combine the digital and the physical and still do direct mail and still do printed, you know, showing really what we do day to day and present that to our customers in a strong way. So we're trying to reincorporate that.
I find is the digital piece is great for getting people's attention, actually for kind of converting and getting that meeting, actually getting them to meet with the salesperson. That's when DM absolutely comes into its own. So we did a campaign, was it last year, the year before, and we did 6 weeks of emails, loads of social, all that good stuff. And then when we got to a point where these people, you know, certain group still hadn't responded to us, we sent them this huge mailer that said, "Hi, Helen. And looks like we failed to get you opened it up into this massive thing. It said attention in massive words. And if we were never going to get their attention then, that was it, you know. But I think that final step using DM can be so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Whenever I saw it, I was like, you need to send me that template.
Yeah.
So I don't
like
have to.
that. Yeah.
It's like, I'm talking about stealing. I'm stealing Helen's AI. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
I like it.
Well, I love this. We kept you longer than we had planned. I hope that we didn't keep you from anything.
Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Great.
I love this. Keep us posted on where this podcast goes. When are you launching? You're launching August?
We're recording in August, so I'm hoping to launch the new and improved version of Great Minds Print Alike in September.
I love it.
I love it. Very fun.
So fun. I knew this was going to be just a really fun chat, as we say. And every time by the time I left Long Beach, I was using all of the British lingo, like love, you know, I was like, bye love, you know, like I'm saying all the things. So I'll probably, who knows what I'm going to be saying for the rest of the day today after our chat.
I was saying that everything was wild, Betsy. So
I didn't even realize how much I said "that's wild" until Helen called me out on it. And then I said ranch at dinner, and they made me say it 5 more times because of how I say ranch. So we love each other's accents. Well,
Love
have
it.
a wonderful time in New York City with your family. When you travel in, we'll welcome you to the States with open arms.
Yes, have a great trip. It sounds like it's action-packed, so it should be a ton of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you
right.
so
Well,
much,
hopefully we'll
ladies.
talk to you again really soon.
Brilliant. See you
Thanks for
soon.
joining
Take
us.
care.
All right. Thanks,
Bye, Helen.
everybody. Thanks for joining us on Colorbar, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye, everybody.